The green future has already started, but we are solving the wrong problem. Welcome back to Smarter Green Living. Today we are going to talk about the sustainability mistake hidden in plain sight. The green future is no longer a distant idea waiting somewhere ahead of us. It is already here, but not in the neat, perfect way people often imagine. Electric vehicles are already on our roads, heat pumps are already being installed, solar panels are already appearing on rooftops. AI tools are already becoming part of daily work, and new homes are already being built to higher energy standards. Since the green transition began, we need to know whether we are building it properly, as it seems we are treating the green transition more like a shopping list of technologies, as if the answer is simply to install more clean, energy-efficient systems. A heat pump is not automatically a solution if the home is not suitable, the controls are confusing, the installer has done a poor job, or the resident cannot afford the running cost. A solar panel is not the full answer if the power is generated when demand is low and there is no storage or flexibility to use it well. An electric vehicle reduces tailpipe emissions, but it also creates new pressure on chargers, streets, local networks, and electricity demand. Our eye may feel invisible on a screen, but behind it are data centers, servers, power connections, cooling systems, water use, and hardware. That is the problem no one talks about enough. The green transition is not just a technology challenge, it is an integration challenge. If we fail to connect the technology to the home, the grid, the water system, the planning system, the supply chain, and the real lives of ordinary people, then the future may look sustainable from the outside, but feel expensive, confusing, and unfair from the inside. It would be too simple to say that nothing is happening. That is not true. A lot is happening. Governments are setting targets, councils are writing climate plans, businesses are publishing sustainability reports, developers are building to new standards, households are installing new technologies, and digital infrastructure is growing rapidly. The problem is not the absence of activities. The problem is that some of these activities can be mistaken for progress. The conversations need to turn because every organisation having a sustainability strategy does not necessarily mean a working system. A technology installation is not the same as a successful outcome after a few years. A climate target is not the same as climate readiness when real-life chaos shows up. And a green product is not the same as a resilient supply chain. The future will not judge us by how many things we announced. It will judge whether those things work together under pressure. Did the home stay comfortable? Did the grid cope? Did water systems hold up? Did people understand the technology they were given? Did bills become manageable? Did vulnerable people get protected? Did the system become fairer, or did it push more risk onto households? That is why the next stage of sustainability must move from execution to ambition. Let's talk about the difference between installing and integrating. There is a very important difference between installation and integration. Installation is physical. The solar panel is on the roof. The heat pump is fitted. The EV charger is installed. The smart meter is connected. The new policy is published. The net zero target is announced. However, integration asks a much harder question. Does it actually work as part of the wider system? For a household, integration means the resident understands how to use the technology, the home is suitable for it, the bills make sense, and maintenance is available when something goes wrong. For a neighbourhood, integration means local networks can cope with new electricity demand. Public charging is reliable, and homes are not all adding pressure at the same time. For a council or business, integration means procurement, planning, budgets, asset management, and climate risk are all pulling in the same direction. This is where many green solutions become fragile. They are installed as individual products, but they are not always connected to the conditions that make them succeed. And when that happens, people do not experience sustainability as progress. They experience it as inconvenience, cost, or confusion. That matters because public trust is not built through slogans. It is built when people can feel that a change has improved their life, reduced waste, lowered risk, or made the system easier to live with. There are 5 tests every green solution should pass to make the green future work. Every solution should pass 5 tests. First, it must pass the performance test. It should work in real life, not just in a model, brochure, or policy document. A home that looks efficient on paper but overheats in summer has not passed the performance test. A heating system that promises savings but confuses the resident has not passed the performance test. Second, it must pass the timing test. Sustainability often depends on when something happens. Solar power is useful, but its value increases when it can be stored, shifted, or used at the right time. Electric vehicle charging is manageable when it is smart and spread out, but it becomes more difficult if everyone charges at peak demand. Third, it must pass the resource test. A solution should not reduce one environmental pressure while quietly increasing another. We cannot only ask how much carbon something saves. We also need to ask how much water, land, materials, energy, and infrastructure it requires. Fourth, it must pass the maintenance test. A solution that cannot be repaired, explained, monitored, or maintained will decline over time. Sustainability is not achieved at the moment of installation. It is achieved through years of proper operation. Finally, it must pass the fairness test. Who pays? Who benefits? Who has control? Who has no choice? Who carries the risk if the technology fails? If the transition feels like something done to people rather than with people, resistance is inevitable. These 5 tests change the conversation. They stop us from being impressed by the appearance of sustainability and force us to ask whether the system works. It is no longer enough to say that new homes should be energy efficient. That direction is already built into policy and regulation. A home is not used in the same way a model assumes. People cook, shower, dry clothes indoors, open windows, work from home, care for children, host family members, and use rooms differently throughout the day. Some residents will understand new controls quickly, while others will not. Some will trust the technology, while others may avoid using it because they fear the cost. So if we want homes to be genuinely future-ready, we have to move beyond design stage promises. We need better handover, clearer controls, proper ventilation checks, overheating assessments, resident support, post-occupancy evaluation, and feedback from real bills and real comfort levels. A future-ready home is not one that looks good on the day it is completed. It is one that still works after people have lived in it through winter, summer, price changes, maintenance issues, and changing family needs. That is the difference between a compliant home and a successful home. The UK has spent a long time focusing on cold homes, and for good reason. Cold homes damage health, increase bills, and deepen inequality. But the future housing challenge is no longer only about keeping heat inside. It is also about preventing dangerous heat from building up. This is where the conversation becomes more serious. If homes overheat, people will look for cooling. That is understandable. But if overheating is solved mainly by adding more mechanical cooling, the electricity system faces another demand problem during hot weather, exactly when many people may need cooling at the same time. So the smarter solution is not to wait until homes become unbearable and then add more devices. The smarter solution is to design heat risk down from the beginning. That means shading, ventilation, tree cover, green spaces, reflective surfaces, better orientation, cooler streets, and heat-resilient retrofit. This is not just about comfort, it is about health and protection. It is about the child who cannot sleep in an overheated bedroom, the older person in a flat that does not cool down overnight, the care home trying to protect vulnerable residents, and the household that cannot afford to run cooling for long periods. A future-ready home must be warm in winter and cool in summer. Anything less is not future-ready. Climate targets, sustainability reports, green products and technology installations may look impressive, but the future will judge whether they work under pressure. The real test is whether homes stay comfortable, grids cope with demand, water systems hold up, vulnerable people are protected, and the transition becomes fairer rather than more costly or confusing. So what is the real solution? It is not simply more technology, and definitely not more ambitions or targets. The real solution is integration. Homes must be designed, tested, and supported as living systems. The grid must be planned around real demand, not theoretical averages. Water must be treated as a limit, not a background service. AI must be judged by value as well as excitement. Circular economy must begin at procurement, not disposal. Climate resilience must move from risk registers into budgets. And fairness must be built into delivery from the beginning, not added at the end to soften the language. This is how sustainability becomes practical. It stops being a message and becomes a system of decisions. What gets built, what gets funded, what gets repaired, what gets monitored, what gets maintained, who gets protected, who gets listened to, who carries the risk. That is where the future is decided. Once you start asking those questions, you cannot unsee the weakness in shallow sustainability. If you enjoy thoughtful sustainability videos like this, subscribe to Smarter Green Living for more practical conversations about the future we are building. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.